Hi guys, welcome to this video for Return to Earth, which is a board game that's available from the Game Crafter, designed by me, Martin Knight. So this video was going to be an unboxing video, but in the end I thought probably just do a review, preview sort of video, just to take a look at some of the components and look at what the game comes with. There's an upgrade pack for it as well, which we'll look at in a minute, but the base game comes in a quite a sturdy box. It's a space game. It's called Return to Earth because years ago Earth was becoming quite overpopulated, and so they started shipping the poor to a galaxy to get them out of the way, and all the players are playing a space captain that's just barely got enough money to begin trading and mining and doing missions and so forth to try and earn enough money to actually get back to Earth. So the goal is primarily to earn money and get back to Earth, and you'll be playing in a galaxy, moving around the galaxy, performing missions in all these different sectors, and in these places there'll be planets and core systems where you have to do certain things and so forth. I won't get too bogged down in rules with this video, but I will do a, a setup video with a playthrough that will follow on from this, so you could stay tuned for that. I'll try and put some links into the description and maybe a button on the video for you to click on, and that will take you right to that. But for now, it's just the preview of the game, and let's go through some of the components. So first of all, you get, like, the game comes in a box. You'll get a rule book, which is a largish rule book with some fairly large text. It's 28 pages long. The last few pages are really pretty much reference pages, so they're not really part of the rules. And the first few pages are a bit of an introduction and a component list, and then some information about the different components. So once you've read through them, the actual rules begin with setting up a game. So it's not really going to be quite an intense game with loads and loads of instructions, but there's plenty to do in it, and there's plenty of things to think about. So it's got a lot about this game and lots to do in it, without any really too many complicated rules. So just do a bit of a thumb through from there, and then I'm going to use the rule book with the components guide, and we'll go through the components one at a time to see what we've got. So you get the rule book, obviously, and the board. This is the Galactic Events track here, and the time track that moves along here. This is for NPC ship damage, and then this is the main playing area where you'll be moving around and performing missions and so forth. Then there's 4 dice that's used in the game. Most of the time you'll just be rolling 1 die, maybe 2, and occasionally if you do things like mining and things like that, you'll be using all 4 dice. And then each player gets a player map. They come in 4 different colours. The colours are identified by this section here, and a special rule for each player. So each rule's got their own unique little rule, and gives them advantages and disadvantages for play throughout the game. And then the player map really is the ship, the spaceship, and a little bit of extra information. So we've got the hold there where all the goods are going to be stored. We've got the cabin space there where you're going to be boarding passengers. And then you've got your fuel and your shields. Your actual ship, you can advance your ship and upgrade to as far as a Class E ship. You begin with a Class B or a Class A ship. And your crew, you can take on board a higher crew and upgrade your ship as well with some upgrades. And then you've got some information there and there about the different upgrades and the crew as well. And then this track at the top here is like a reputation track. So you begin at neutral, but as you perform more and more good missions, then you will go up in fame. If you do a lot more bad missions, piracy missions, then you will start gaining piracy. And there's pros and cons to being famous or being a pirate as well in the game. So that's a little bit of information about the cart there. And then the next component is these dollar bills. So I was quite impressed with the Games Crafters dollar bills. I'll show one up quite close. They're nice and silky. They're not like paper money. They've got a sort of a plastic feel to them, almost like some modern day currency that's being produced today. And they don't stick. A lot of paper notes, until they've been well used, they start sticking. They stuck slightly when I first unwrapped them because they'd been cut in a stack, but once they've been unstuck from each other initially, then they're nice and smooth. So there's 105 of them in the game. You get different denominations. We've got $1, $5, $10, $50, $100 and $500. Then there's some standees, some card pawns that we use for the game. There's one for each player, so one for each colour each colour player, and then there's 4 NPC ones as well. Small markers, yes. So we've got these small markers. There's 168 small markers of various sorts. So players will end up with 31 of each of these. So I'll just show you those up close. So you'll end up with, if you're playing the blue player, you'll end up with 31 of those, and they're used to track elements on your player mat and also on the board as well. So you'll be doing things like tracking your fuel with your shields and your fuel and so forth with these. We'll do a bit more of that when we do the setup video. Then there is resource markers. So there's 10 resources that are dotted around the galaxy. They get placed on these spaces here, and if your ship lands on one of these spaces, you'll be able to do a mine. You'll be able to mine them, or an advanced mining. There's 4 different types of resources. So there's, I'll just show you these quick. So there's space junk, or titanium and plasma, and they've all got different values in the game. So you can go to one of these spaces, perform a mining operation, collect that resource, add it to your hold, and then you can go to a planet and sell it and make some money that way. We've got some system markers, which are these ones which we'll go through when we actually play the game. There's 6 of those. 25 passenger tokens, and they're either fugitives, or that side is travellers. So you'll either board on your ship a traveller or a fugitive. Again, we're going to how they work. So there's 25 of those. There's a time marker that you get. You get an NPC shield tracker marker, and that gets placed on there and gets moved depending on the damage that the NPC ships suffers. And then a first player token as well. So if you're playing the games for 1 to 4 players, it plays for roughly 2 hours. You can adjust the playing time by setting different victory conditions, which again we'll look at in the rules. But if you're playing with more than 1 player, you use the first player marker and just pass it each turn to the next player. Okay, and then we've got 16 system markers. Now these get placed in these hexagonal shapes. This is the core of a system. This is a system. These are sectors, these individual points, and this whole area here is the galaxy. So 16, 10 of these get placed at the start of the game. They get placed randomly, so the map's never always the same, and you'll be sort of having things like planets there where you can travel to and you can perform trading with that planet. You can buy goods and then go to another planet and sell them to make some extra money that way as well. There's 16 of those. There's things like asteroids that get placed in the middle here. There's the 6 planets where you can trade at, some collapsing stars, some wormholes that you can travel between, a gas planet, the sun, and then there's some extras that appear during the course of the game. So you might have a crime boss take over a planet or something like that, so they all come into play. And then we've got lastly 72 cards. So the missions cards come in two types. They are either blue, where you'll earn fame, or they're red, where you'll earn piracy, reputation, on your reputation track. And if you perform the mission and complete it, you will earn the money that's shown in the top right there. And also the card is used as an events deck as well, so if you end up not being able to do a lot in a turn, you might have to draw and see if you encounter something in space, and you draw one of those. So there's some extra rules there. Most of the time it's collecting people, moving people around the board, or items, and or maybe even attacking other vessels, or attacking NPCs. And then the other type of card, there's 60 of those, and then there's 12 galactic event cards, and that are these. So there's the crime boss, asteroid maps, so they all get placed on here and are activated and deactivated throughout the game as it's progressing. And when they're activated, obviously you will deal with the rules that are on the card. They come into play, and then when they're deactivated, they're no longer used. That sort of kind of wraps up the main game. Now what we do is we'll look at the this upgrade pack. So basically the upgrade pack, I put this into play because I really wanted to sell the game with these tokens. But something to bear in mind with GameCrafter products is that items that aren't printed, that they don't print themselves, come and go in and out of stock at times. And when they're out of stock, there is a period where you can't really buy the game anymore, and so it becomes unavailable for a short while, usually a couple of days, maybe a couple of weeks. So I really wanted to sell the game with these components, but I didn't want them to keep going in and out of stock. So I took the plastic components out of the game. There was only these ones here really, and I put them into an upgrade pack. So basically these components here that you see there, they're just going to replace these from the main game. So they're not, it's not an essential purchase, but it's something that I quite liked, the idea of having actually some plastic tokens to represent these. So I'll put the ones that they're replacing by the side of it. And the other thing is, the only extra thing that's included is normally each turn you'll have an NPC, and you'll move, each player will choose an NPC to move around the board. And then when you've moved your NPC that you've chosen to move, you would then place your player token underneath it and put your NPC that you've moved on top of it to say that that's been moved this round and nobody else can move that NPC. So that was that aspect of it. So what we've done is, with the plastic components, the idea is that you will place your player ring over the top. So now when you've moved your NPC, you just pop the ring over the top, and then at the end of the round all the players retrieve their rings from it. So it's like I say, it's just a way of keeping the game in production, which is the reason why they've been removed. To make it more worthwhile, and in case you wanted some more notes as well, we've added 105 extra notes. So basically you're doubling up on your notes as well. So that's the idea behind the upgrade pack. If you want to play the game, you don't necessarily need to get the upgrade pack. However, it does add a bit more character to the game. So that pretty much wraps up the preview video. There will be a setup video and a playthrough video coming shortly. So thanks for watching.